Hi, it's Kesley Tweed, Iron Gypsy. Welcome to one of the very first videos on my YouTube channel, and I'm here today with my lovely friend Callie. Say hello, Callie.
Hi guys.
If you are on Instagram, and especially if you are in the fitness competition space and into health and fitness, you may have heard of Callie. What's your Instagram handle?
It's Callie Josephine.
At Callie Josephine, and I'm at KesFitLife. And we are talking about something today that is very, very near and dear to both of us, and that is fitness competitions, and something that not a lot of people talk about. Fitness competitions is something that both Callie and I have done in the past. I competed in WBFF, and what was your...
I did NPC for a while, and then it was NANBF, the Natural Federation.
Awesome.
So, little of both.
Beautiful. So we both competed, we both are very passionate about it, we're very passionate about fitness, but the thing that we want to talk about that not a lot of people do talk about is what can happen if you lose sight of the reason why you started. So both Callie and I have had many conversations about this. We've actually been working together throughout the last couple of months, just kind of dealing with some of these challenges that, you know, both of us have dealt with in the past, but Callie most recently went through a couple of contest preps and ended up in a place where she wasn't really all that happy.
Nope.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and we're going to help you guys better understand what you can do to stay focused on your why. And it doesn't even matter if you are in competition worlds. This can be relevant if you are just someone who has struggled with body image issues or emotional eating. Many of those things that, again, both Callie and I have dealt with, whether or not we've been in the fitness competing space at the current time or not. So, Callie, let's get to know you a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, who are you and what do you do for fun? Tell us about Callie.
I'm a wife. 26. Already
Who's
forgetting.
counting, right? And look at this, a woman who tells her age.
Yes.
This is a woman with courage right here, y'all.
I love fitness, obviously. Anything to be active, especially outside. My husband and I love to travel and fish and hike, just do anything outside together, and just hanging out with my family a lot. That's
awesome.
Kind of what we do.
Cool. And very similar to me. I'm an outdoor person
Yes.
as well. Yeah. So,
Anything outside, really.
Yeah,
like,
we
even
actually...
just like
yeah.
sitting outside doing
Yeah.
nothing.
And and so probably that love for activity and outdoors has something to do with the reason why you started competing. So why did you start competing?
Well, I was like already kind of lifting weights. I went from like cardio bunny to figuring out the weights. And then I was kind of like, you know, what can I do with this? Like, I love it, but what's the next step? Like, outside of the gym, where can I take this? And I was on Instagram, just new to Instagram, and I found a couple accounts of girls who were doing the bikini competitions. And just like when I saw their muscly bodies and like the sparkly suit, I was just like, I'm gonna do that. Like, it was like... It just consumed me.
Yes.
I wanted to do that. So.
Yes. And so tell us about kind of your history then with fitness shows. Like, where did it go from there? What was your first show? Tell us a little bit about that.
My first show was planned for March 2015. I pretty much fully prepped for it, and then I got close and kind of backed out. Like, just was totally freaked out, and we had some family stuff going on, and so that kind of ended there. And then I prepped again the following year and ended up doing that show that I had initially planned just a year later. That was March 2016. I competed in Fargo. And then in April I competed in Minneapolis at the Gopher. So those shows were like 2 weeks apart. Then I took some time off after that. The next show was in October, where I competed in the NANBF, and that's the show I completely won the overall and won my pro card, my IPE pro card.
Wow.
So yeah.
You did very well, and you did a
Yes.
lot in a short amount of time, so you must have loved it. So tell us about some of those great moments that you had competing, because everybody's had those as well as the difficult, challenging moments.
Yes, I think the greatest part is that, like, you get to showcase what you've done. Like, you're working so hard for this every single day, and you get to get on stage and like represent everything you've done, every meal, every cardio session. It's just like it wraps it all up, and it's like a reward for yourself. It's just so fun.
Yeah, and I would totally agree with that. I mean, I got into fitness competitions because I wanted to bring my body to a place that I had never taken it before. I was new to lifting weights. Like you, I just became fascinated with everything about it and how your body can become almost like a work of art. You want to build better shoulders, you can do it. You want to build your glutes, you can do it. It gives you so much control.
Yes, and I'm totally that like type A control person, and it's nice because you have complete control and you can manipulate it with different exercises and food and stuff. So
yeah, it felt really, really good, you know. And then as someone I've never had a full-fledged eating disorder, but I have had challenges with that before. And I've also been someone who's a people pleaser and needs that external validation. And so for me, you know, there were those moments where it was amazing. Like, I remember my first WBFF show. I was all in the glitz and glamour and the feathers and the makeup and the hair. And as you can tell, I love all that girly kind of shit. So,
it's so fun.
It was like right up my alley. It was such a beautiful thing and a beautiful experience. And so my first show was like, it pushed me to my limits, but it didn't go over the limit. I felt very healthy when I stepped on stage. And it was a very... my confidence was at an all-time high. It helped me tap into my femininity. Like, it was a really amazing thing.
Yes.
And it sounds like you had a very similar experience. So, like, I never want to scare people away from fitness shows because for me, the first one was so healthy. It was a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like the first one was like that for me too, which is obviously why I kept going. It was like fun, and I did feel really healthy.
Yeah.
I think where I guess the wrong turn was for me is I didn't take long enough breaks.
Yeah.
And it kind of took over, and then you just kind of forget why you're doing it. And it seems like you're just programmed, and you just keep doing it, and you don't even really know why anymore.
Yeah. And when was that moment when you sort of had that epiphany of like, oh, wow, I took this too far, or I'm off track? Like, do you remember a moment or a time, and what was that signal to yourself?
It was in November of 2016, like a few weeks after I won the show, the overall, and I knew I only had a certain time frame to make my pro debut in the IPE, so I felt really like pressured to do that, and all of a sudden it didn't feel like my choice anymore.
Right.
Like, obviously I still chose to do it, but in my mind it was like, well, I have to do this because this is the next step. And my heart just wasn't in it. I was just going through the motions, and it was not fun.
What do you think you were doing it for at that point? Like, was it for the external, the validation, the likes on Insta? Like, what then was your fuel?
I feel like it was just, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of factors, but it's like, I felt pressured to like keep going because I did so well in October, and then it's like, even though people aren't directly putting pressure on you, it's like you still feel that anyways, and you're like, well, I need to keep going, and now I have to do this. People expect me to be great, and that's where you get lost.
And I can so relate to that, Callie. Like, it became like a drug for me. So
it is. 'Cause
it's like a crack addiction.
It's like a literal high. Like, you get a high, and that's part of it too, is like you crave that feeling again. You do.
Yeah. I mean, like, for me, so I did my first WBFF show, and it was a smaller show, but I got first place, but I didn't get my pro card. And so it was like that moment, it was the very moment
so close.
I stepped off stage. I went back to my family and my friends. They were all there, and the first thing I said was, I'm going to get that damn pro card. Like, I will compete again, and I will get that pro card.
Yes.
And so then I immediately, like, I didn't even take a day off. Like, I went back to the gym on Monday. I was already back in training. Soon it ramped up from training once a day to training twice a day. I was working probably 50 to 60 hours a week, was not eating enough to support, and I was overtrained and underfed and undernourished and underrested, and I wouldn't stop.
And at that point, it's like your body is kind of fighting against you.
It was.
Because your body knows, like, I don't like this. I'm not comfortable here. But you get lost up here.
Exactly.
So you keep pushing it.
So did you ever, because I hit a point where not only emotionally did I start to go backwards, because I came to a point where I couldn't concentrate anymore. I had no other interests. Like, I didn't want to go out with my friends anymore. So socially, it was a challenge.
Yes.
So maybe talk a little bit about that, like the social challenges that happened and the physical. Like, at some point, your body starts to fight against you, like you said.
Yes, both. I experienced a lot of each of those. It became like I almost had like social anxiety sometimes, because it's kind of a loner sport in a way, unless you're surrounded by other people who are doing it, and nobody here really was. So it was like just me, and you're kind of, without even realizing it, you start isolating yourself because you don't want to go to this get together because it revolves around food and just kind of stuff like that. So mentally that was hard. You feel alone, but physically, yes, towards the end, I was doing a lot of HIIT cardio. A lot of high intensity, high impact. My joints were hurting, especially my knees. And physically, I was hurting, but I wasn't making progress. Right. And that's when I realized, like, my body doesn't want to do this anymore. Like, it had enough.
Yeah, and I had a similar point. I mean, I was, like I said, training twice a day. I went to the gym one day and I went for a deadlift. I couldn't pick up the bar. Like, I literally could not grip the bar.
That's when you know.
That's when you know. And, you know, there had been several weeks leading up to that where I was going backwards. Like, my body was, I was holding a lot of water. I wasn't able to train hard. I was not putting on any muscle. I was gaining body fat. And your body, like you said, this is just a lesson for anyone.
Yes.
Listen to your body. Not just intuitive eating, but intuitive training as well.
Right, and then stress plays a factor too. Like, your body's already fighting against you, and you're doing all this stuff. You're not seeing the progress you want to see. So then you're stressing about that progress, and then your cortisol levels and everything just throw your body for a loop. So it can be a mess if you're not careful.
But there are ways to do it the right way.
Yes,
you know? So let's get into that. But first I want to ask you a little bit more about, so at this point, what was your relationship like with food?
It was pretty horrible, like, towards the end.
She's just such a positive person. Like, it's pretty horrible.
It was bad. I felt like I always had a good relationship with food. Like, I grew up eating really healthy, and just my mom was so health conscious, and that rubbed off on me. My first couple preps were fine. Like, the dieting wasn't hard for me because I liked the food, and I still was able to cut down eating a decent amount of calories. But it was after the show in October that I felt like I started emotional eating, and it kind of just escalated. Like, once you start emotionally eating and you involve your emotions with food, it's like a snowball effect.
Yes,
like,
so true.
Emotions and food should definitely be separated.
I agree. And we're actually, in our next video, we're going to talk a little bit more about emotional eating. This one's kind of for the fitness competitors, but I know there's a lot of women out there who deal with that. So we're going to go in depth on that in our next video. So I want to bring this back around to all of our, maybe our figure or bikini girls or any fitness competitors out there, or people who are thinking about competing. Like, there are things I wish I knew before I signed up for my first show, and lots of people told me their horror stories, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna do it anyway, and I'm not gonna do it that way.
Right.
But we all make the same mistakes, right?
Exactly. You see, like, you don't learn until, I mean, even some things, like, it took me a while to learn, and I'm like, people told me this, but I'm the type of person that sometimes I have to learn the hard way.
Same here. Like, you can't tell me anything. Like, nothing gets through this thick skull of mine. If I get something in my head, it's gonna go, you know, which is what made me a great competitor, but at the same time, it can be very detrimental because you don't know where that line is.
Exactly.
So what advice, Callie, looking back, do you have for people who maybe are competing now or are thinking about competing? Like, what would you do differently if you were to do it again?
I would have definitely taken more breaks. Looking back now, I never really gave my body enough time off in between all these shows. And I really lost myself mentally because I was so focused on competing. And I wish I had taken more steps back and, like, refocused and kind of, like, found myself again before I jumped back in. I felt like, you know, I just didn't have an identity anymore. My identity was the competing. And had I stepped back, I would have had time to like ground myself before going again.
Absolutely. Like, I think, and again, I can relate to that so much, especially the identity piece, because yes, it became my identity. Like, the title of the association I competed in was part of my name on Instagram. Like, I was no longer
all of a sudden like
just Kesley Tweed, or now Iron Gypsy, which is my coaching business, but I was Kesley Tweed, blah, 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 competitor, fitness competitor. It's who I became and who I was, and nothing else mattered.
And I think, it does consume you because it takes a lot. Like, as extremists, I think that's why we do so well. I mean, it is extreme. You do have to be all in. It's just being all in and still like taking care of yourself, I think, is the hard part.
I would completely agree, and that's kind of my mission. I mentioned my coaching business, and Callie and I have been working together on some of this stuff, but that's my goal and my mission, is for people who are competing or have just finished competing to make it about the things that we start for, and that is to push yourself hard, to set a goal and learn to love yourself, to love your body, to treat your body well, to get strong and feel feminine, to feel beautiful in your own skin. Like, be healthy. Like, that is what fitness competing can be about.
It can be. It really can be.
And that's what we want to make it about. So that's one of the reasons why Callie and I wanted to do this video, is so that we could speak to other fitness competitors and be here to support you, to help you and guide you, either if you've lost your way, to get you back there, or to prevent you from getting to that place where Callie and I have been, where you forget who you are, with the exception of just being a fitness competitor. And you are so much more. You are meant for so much more. You are more than a beautiful face. You're more than a beautiful body. You are a beautiful soul. That's what we believe.
And you got to keep that. That's so important.
Keep that. Yes, exactly. And so we've worked together. Callie, it sounds like I think she's in a really beautiful place.
Yes.
How do you feel now? Like, after the last couple of months, like, you've come a long way in the last couple of months. How do you feel now?
I feel really content with where I'm at. I no longer feel like I have to compete to be fitness. Like, you can be fitness without competing. And I guess I just feel like before I ever jump back into something like that, I would definitely make sure I'm ready, like mentally, and make sure my relationship with food is good before I ever stepped back in. So,
and I would agree with you. Like, that's my goal too, is eventually I may decide to compete again, and for me it will be about health. I'll tell you my age, I'm 34 years old, and so like for me at this age, like that is my goal.
Health.
Is health, and to keep my youth, and to keep a vibrant spirit. And for me, like, part of Iron Gypsy and what I do in my coaching practice is spirituality as well, and really digging deep to find your core and to find that self-love. And so that's what it will be about for me. Like, I want to be in that space where not only do I have a healthy relationship with food, but I have such a healthy relationship with myself that I don't give an F, what the judges think. Like, I want to go on that stage and be so happy with the progress that I've made and with myself that I don't really care what anybody else has to say.
Yes, exactly.
So, ladies, if you can relate to any of that, I would love to chat with you. Check out my website. It's KesleyTweed.com. I have a blog where I talk about lots of soulful things, self-love, femininity, relationships, health, fitness, all those sorts of things. And would love to help you along the way if you are struggling with some of these things that we've been talking about today. So with that, Callie, any other advice you want to share? Anything you want to leave these ladies and probably gentlemen with, people who are watching this video?
Do it for you, and keep doing it for you. Don't do it for anybody's approval or to impress anybody. You don't need that. If you start for you, just always put yourself in check and make sure that you're doing what feels right for you no matter what.
Oh, that's beautiful. So some of the things that I always leave and end every video that I do, if you follow my YouTube channel, you've heard me say these things, but number one, be love. So radiate love. Whatever the question is, the answer is always love. So when it comes to things like health and fitness, make it about self-love, loving yourself, what you choose to put in your mouth, how you choose to train, what you choose to put the thoughts in your head, the things you say to yourself, the things you have in your heart, make it about love. The second thing is keep your cup full. So part of competing in the challenge of that is it really drains your cup. Like, you are getting much of yourself to this competition and this goal that you often forget to take care of who you are on the inside and on the outside.
Absolutely.
So keep your cup full, because when your cup is full, you have more to give to others. And I believe that's what we're here to do, is to give back into love. And finally, enjoy the journey. This
Yes.
is like my catchphrase in life.
Yeah.
My mission in life.
Yes.
Have fun.
It
You
is.
know?
Yeah.
Like when you're competing and you're training and it's no longer fun anymore, like that's when it's time to stop.
Yeah, it's like, why keep going?
Why keep going?
I know.
It's supposed to be fun. Like the day you get on
Yes.
stage, you should feel like the most beautiful woman in the
Mhm.
world. And your glitz and glam with your hair done and your
Oh, it's
makeup,
so
and
great.
oh, it should be amazing. So once you lose sight of that, that's when it's time to stop. So
Yep.
be led, keep your cup full, enjoy the journey. Check out Callie on Instagram. Give us your handle one more time.
Callie Josephine.
And at Kes Fit Life. And check out my website, KesleyTwee.com. It's the Iron Gypsy blog and Iron Gypsy coaching. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for our second video where we're going to talk more about emotional eating and some of the things that all of us deal with, especially if you are a female like the two of us. So thanks for watching. Love y'all.